Hello everyone and welcome to the April vlog. It is roughly a month since the last update in March and we're between a quarter and a third of the way through the year, so it's kind of almost halfway between them. You'll have to excuse any coughing or slight change to the voice because I've actually got some form of cold. My boss has had it at work and my fellow co-workers got it as well, so we're all coming down with something. So I have to just excuse it if I go croaky or need a drink and that sort of stuff. And it's a very opportune time to sort of go through the short, medium term, and long term goals and review where they are, and just do a general status update on those. So the first one, these are roughly in name order, but I don't think they're that way on the Facebook note. So you have to excuse this order. The first one is the Ager Loco, which is, give me a second. This little beauty. Now, she is actually complete in the brick, so she is all black. There are a few pieces which are quite clearly second-hand and can do with replacing, but other than that, you know, she is quite definitely a complete model. But the issue is that it's in need of fine tuning. It's a bit light for its size, so it does kind of skip a bit. It doesn't have as much grip as I'd like it to have. And there's a few other issues with that, so it can't go through turnouts properly because of the gap around the frog. And there's a few other issues with it in terms of performance and that sort of stuff which needs changing. One thing that might suit it better is a change from power functions, battery box and a receiver to going to powered up. Not powered up, going to BuWiz. Because the BuWiz occupies less space than the power functions battery box, and you don't have to have the receiver because it's all done via Bluetooth, and then I can just use all the other space to put in some sort of weight to try and help with adhesion, that sort of stuff. Something else that needs doing is checking the back-to-backs between the wheels and making sure they're in scale and that there's not much in the way of slop. There are a few issues sometimes with Lego trains, in that there's a bit of slop in the axle, which you could kind of need, but on locos that can actually cause detriment to it, because if your traction tyres aren't gripping the sides of the rails, they're not doing their job, so you're not getting the grip which locos need help with to actually get there, because obviously you don't have the adhesion effect as you would do on the real thing. There's two games I wanted to get done with sort of like playthroughs, which was Life is Strange Before the Storm and Hidden Folks. They've both been done, so that's that goal ticked off. So out of the three in the short medium term goals, that's the only one that's can be marked complete with the definitive, or definitively, I should say. The last one is the warehouse. Now the warehouse might have been a bit over ambitious, to put it as a short medium term goal. Perhaps what would have been better is to complete one module of it, because it's, at the end of the day, it's going to be a 3-module warehouse. So you'd have the sort of left hand side, the middle section and the right hand side, and it's only half the warehouse anyway, because the other half would be, because it's designed to be more of a back scene sort of model, unless it's being displayed off, so it's almost like a cutaway. There's been a few issues with it in terms of structural stability. The fact I haven't ordered much in the way of tan parts to actually do the interior wall lining, and there's a few other bits and pieces like that. Where I haven't done progress because I don't have the parts, and I haven't been able to do this, I haven't been able to do that. There's also been quite a few design changes to it as well. So one of the big ones is that originally I was just going to have it on its own as part of like a freight yard, so it'd just have to deal with track and on ballast and that sort of stuff. Well, when I initially did the prototype model, I just put track straight on the base plate, Then I realised that that doesn't actually meet the sort of like track ballasting standards of having um, like a couple of plates underneath. So you'd have a tile, you'd have tile, and then you plate underneath your track, um, and then obviously you'd have all the like the fine detail that way. So you're elevating everything up a bit. Well, I've not done that at all with my with the track I'd put on the base plate for the warehouse. So that's a change of it as well. So that means that we've got to change the entire height of the warehouse. It also means we've got to change. I want to change the sort of base plate itself, because instead of just being in a part of the freight yard where there'd be gravel and maybe some sort of block paving or something like that, I'm actually going to go for it's actually going to get moved in sort of a physical location to more sort of a dockyardy sort of hard standing area. So or where everything's concreted over. So it means then that I'm going to have to put in a load of stuff to elevate the floor, if you like, to a certain height so that it matches the height of the track. And also the height of the track itself is changed as well, so it's got to change this, it's got to change that. I've changed the left-hand module because the left-hand module does now exist. I've had to change that around because I've actually added the goods platform, or at least the start of it. So I've now had to put that in, which is again meant another change. And it's just been, just changes. I've added another floor as well to make it 3 floors. So you've got the first 2 floors. You got the naming. So you got the new Have NRR. So the lettering sits between the second and third floors. I've sort of come up with an idea to do some sort of roof for around the middle sections, and it's just a case of adding. There's been quite a lot of additions to it, so it sort of changed the scope, and stretches out a bit, which means it's really not going to get done in the short medium term. So that's the short medium term really was until June. I know it's only April, but there's quite a lot to get done. And structure as well is the other main one, because I've got to ensure the warehouse is very structurally secure, because I want to take it to exhibitions. Now I can't do that if it's really flimsy. The wall itself is generally speaking okay, but when I was trying to convert it into a module from the humongous just one giant assembly, it actually tore itself off the base plate a couple of times. So the grip, if you like, is not there, or the clutch power. So the clutch power isn't really there. Moving on to long-term goals. The big one really is the working Steam loco, and that is in the works. I am trying to get something together in sort of bits and pieces. And I have put a few Brooklyn cords on predominantly for some of the parts towards one of the locos, because I do have a couple of designs I could tinker with. So that's something I need to look at in the future as well. But at the moment it's okay. It's a very slow boiler, if you want to have the pun. One of the other ones is civilian building, and I do kind of have a rough design. But with the changes I've made to sort of like the design sort of brief, if you like, with the Nighthawks sort of recreation, I'm going to set that as the standard, if you like, of what I want stuff to be. So it means that I'm going to have to change what the original design of the store was in LDD to match that up. So that means there's going to be a few changes for that. I have sort of started it in physical form, but I'm probably just going to have to strip it apart and change it all and do it again. One of the other things was 30s and 40s road vehicles. I've not even started that goal, I have to be bluntly honest. The only sort of progress, if you want to call it that, is a trailer on flat car loads, or two. Well, there's 2 of them: a 20-foot trailer and a 30-foot trailer. So you could say there's been some progress, but really not a lot, and they're more for they're more for loads rather than actual sort of like trailers because of the way they've been built for the deck of the flat car. Um, the last goal, if you like, for the long term ones was exhibition layout. Now, I have been making good progress on this. So if you excuse me, it's actually this box, and in this box, if I don't all fall out and actually keep themselves aligned, all this is R104 brick tracks track, and it's mostly ballasted. This is 3 boxes worth, so this is the equivalent to is it equivalent to 3 boxes worth? It's 3/4 of a circle. So each box is sort of like 8 track sections, which is equivalent to 1/4 of a circle. So 3 boxes worth here is actually 3/4 of a circle. This is to a Tony Sava design I found on Flickr. So it's pretty simple. I've changed it slightly. You use sort of like 4 pieces for the bed, if you like. I've changed it from Tony Sava's design slightly. So you've got 2x4 plates, 1x8 door rail plates, and 1x4 plates. And then you supplement those to pack out the rail with 1x1s and 1x2 plates. 1x2 plates for the outer edge, and then 1x1s for the inner edge. You do get, and I'll show you this in close up, a slight gap. That way is probably better between the points, between the ties on the inside line. And I think it's just an unfortunate way the geometry of the track balancing works, unfortunately, for this radius. But it does look good, I have to admit. These are almost complete. I am missing, as you can see, the outside tyres from that one, and some of the plates. That's because I've run out of them again. So I'm going to have to put orders in for that. But this means that I'm almost pretty much 3/4 of a circle complete, which means that there's only one more box left, and then I've got a complete circle of ballasted R104 track. Yay! So that's something. So that's obviously a good portion of progress done towards doing an exhibitable layout. The other bits for that are getting some R104 turnouts and ballasting a load of regular tracks so we can have some straights as well. The premise being is that I've already got the R104 double crossover, so the plan is to get a R104 crossover as well, and then possibly get some R88, I'm not quite sure, 86 track, which is the one down from R104. And then that will run on the inside of the track, so I can have at one end a passing loop, so I could run 2 trains, which would neatly fit into having a working steam locomotive, so I can then position on some freight cars on the inside loop and have it running around on the outside with a passenger train or something like that. Or it could be that if people want to run their own power functions trains, we can park mine on the inside line, they can run theirs on the outside, and it just adds a bit of variety to it. And the reason I say crossover is because it adds into a long-term goal, if you like, where buying something now means it's still useful in the future. So buying a crossover now means I can use it wherever, and a crossover is just 2 different turnouts put together, where the diverges meet. So they're still separate turnouts at the end of the day, so I can take one off and put in just a divergent track piece, because there is a slight variance in physical size between a standard curve and a parallel joiner curve piece from a turnout to a parallel track. It's very tiny dimensionally, but it's quite noticeable when you see it in person or see it in a photograph, and it's pointed out to you as well. So there's all that to do. I have got little bits and pieces in, and I want to do some more, but obviously trying to sort out all the R104 track is the priority, and I want to get that sorted uh, above all else, so I can get that done in conjunction with doing other bits and pieces as well. Other news, North Notts. I actually went to the North Notts Brick Show. There's no event brick, and if you've watched the vlog, you'll now be aware that I am a full member of the LNUR, or Lego Northern UK Railway. So it's technically the third lug I'm in, depending on when my Brickish slash ex-lug membership runs out. So technically I'm a member of Brick Central lug, Brickish lug, and the LNUR lug, even though the LNUR isn't by definition it is by definition a lug because it's a used group of Lego, but and primarily for trains, but it's not a lug in the way that it's a set criterion and a constitution and that sort of stuff. So it's more like a casual group in that sort of sense. The Northern Knots as well. In the preview sort of vlog I did for it, I said I was going to take the blue caboose, the dark blue caboose for the New York Harbour Railroad. I've actually did do a last minute change to take the black Lehigh Valley Route of the Black Diamond caboose, because that caboose has the lighting kit fitted, and I kind of wanted to show that off and sort of say, you know, your British trains in 7 wide, and they've got this and that. Here's my almost scale 8 wide American caboose with lighting. You know, it's got bunk beds and all this sort of detailing. And don't get me wrong, the LNUR people were very impressed, and they're just like, oh, all these creature comforts for the Americans. So it was quite funny to have those responses, but it shows off the difference between, if you like, American modelling and British modelling. And the one thing the LNUR sort of like group did say as members was they're very impressed with the fact that the brick model railroad freight cars were pretty much studless everywhere. So they were all tiles. There was no exposed studs. It was all very neatly done. It was all smoothed out. You couldn't really see anything. So they're very impressed with those. And last Friday, I actually did a donation to Birmingham Children's Hospital of Lego. So it was kind of a case of the school that I work at sort of broke up early on Friday, and it's just a case of, right, the students have gone home. We ideally could do with all the staff leaving the site early as well. When we want to close the site, I think it was by about 2 o'clock, so we can do some final preparations and close the doors properly. So because it's on like limited opening for the Easter break, so after the school finished at around 1:30, I fled, got on the bus, got home, changed my shirt for a t-shirt, disinfected the Lego sets with some disinfectant wipes, put it all in the box, and I disinfected the box before I did the sets, and my bag as well, and took it all into the Birmingham Children's Hospital, found the fundraising hub, and sort of went, you know, I'm here to donate this. Oh yeah, you know, because I've already emailed them before, and I sort of said I was coming in today, well, on that Friday, because I'd found out that we were finishing early. So I sort of went, oh, I'm donating it today. And I went, oh, and I didn't have a response, but they were aware of it, so I went in, I had my photograph taken, you know, and there were sets that I'd bought, and because I'd changed sort of what I was doing in Lego, I didn't really need. So I thought that instead of trying to make some money back, which probably would have been a fiddly job, most people probably would have wanted postage for them, I sort of went, it's easier for me, and it does some good for the community if I just donate them to the Children's Hospital instead. So it just sort of neatly sort of wraps it up, if you like. And last Saturday, I paid a visit to the Milton Keynes LEGO store. It's part of a Brick Central or sort of organised meet. Most members weren't actually able to make it because they were at Where's the Bricks, which is a show which has raised a fantastic amount for charity. I think it was about £6,000. It was something phenomenal like that. And obviously, if you want to look into that, it's very easy to find on social media, and you can look at the figures for yourself. It's very impressive. But the Lego store visit, I bought a surprisingly little amount. I bought a train motor and a cable. A large pick a brick cup. I'd taken 2 cups down because I'd got some Easter elements and didn't know what was on the wall. Um, but in the end, I just bought 1 cupful, but I did use the other cup to help shift through certain other elements and stuff like that. Um, and I think I bought a few of the bits and pieces. Um, but on the whole, there wasn't a lot. I also bought the corner garage set for the eventual apartment building that will sit atop the Nighthawks recreation. So forward planning, and that's really the wish list cleared in terms of Lego sets. Um, and speaking of that and store visits, there's been a publication about Powered Up and the sort of like explanation, if you like, of what's happening with it and the phasing out of power functions. And the original article sort of said effectively that the battery, the rechargeable battery box was available until the December of 2019, and the charging cable until sometime in 2020. And it was just a case of, oh great, we can still get rechargeable battery boxes, even though we can't get, the motors and that sort of stuff. Well, a little while after that, they actually updated it while I was at work, so I wasn't able to do anything, and they actually changed it to say the battery box is finished in 2018. So the power function situation, if you like, is that if you can find it in your store, you're probably better off getting it while you still can, if you need it or if you might have a use for it. If you're going to get the AAA battery boxes, I'd be inclined to say, if you can, try and avoid those, because you're just going to chew through the AAA batteries. I mean, if it's the only option you've got and you need a battery box, by all means go for it. But at that point, it's just like, well, you're just sort of like going to go for all these batteries, and even rechargeable ones will wear out after time. So it's one of those big things. And obviously, I'll put a link into that sort of post in the video description so you can check it out for yourself. The other thing about that announcement is they didn't make any announcement of new products for Powered Up. Now, what that sort of indicates to me is that they're either still testing them, or they've pretty much sort of said, this is your entire lineup, deal with it. And that, to me, doesn't really indicate anything good. There's a couple of reasons for that. The primary de facto reason is that it still screws over the train fans, because there's only the train motor. There isn't a rechargeable battery box, so we're still really restricted in what we can do. And there isn't anything to sort of say they're bringing out train-based stuff. So it's kind of effectively, unless you're going to use the train motor, which you can't even stack anymore, because they sort of said that, oh, it's supposed to, because of the expansion of the system, so you can use sensors. We've had to eliminate duplication, because the hub can't detect what's connected to it and how to approach it. When you're stacking stuff, which is fair enough, but at the same time, if you're trying to connect multiple motors together so that they rotate at the same speed and at the same level, it just adds an added layer of complexity. I mean, you can probably do a custom sort of thing where you just cut the wires up and connect them together yourself with a soldered connector or something like that. But it's just extra fiddling, which you didn't really have to do with power functions, I should say. So, that's really everything I think that needs to be gone through in terms of updates. I will try and post more videos. There's been quite a few upheavals at work. There's been some changes and that sort of stuff, and some weeks I've been really busy, so I've not really had time to do videos. So I will try and do more. There is a couple of things I want to do that are coming up. one is a sort of special bricking it episode, so you might want to pay attention to that when it comes out. But other than that, I think that's it for this vlog, and I'll sort of cough quietly off camera. So that's it for now, and see you later.